What is up, everyone? Welcome to L2R2, a PlayStation podcast. My name's Fonzie. I'm joined by my co-host, Cal Monroe from across the pond. Cal Monroe, how are you doing? I'm digging that Back to the Future mug you just showed off there for a second. How you been?
Yeah, not bad at all. I just seen my head sort of shining the light off of into the
A
camera.
little
So
bit.
apologies for the flashbang there, but yeah, no, I've been good. Yeah, essentially just before I got a little bit of a cold, it seems. And it's always a little bit disappointing when it's not COVID because it's like just a bit boring. But
Yeah, just a regular standard sickness.
yeah, but yeah, no, other than that, yeah, all good.
Nice. I see some books back there. What you been reading? Or maybe it's a journal.
They're actually some framed photos that I haven't decided where to put up yet. I've just been sort of like trying to rearrange some things. My room's not too big, so I've got to try and like be pretty resourceful in how I put things around. So it's just a work in progress. But yeah, no, I managed to put most of my books into the living room. We've got like a sort of a shelving unit where we've sort of combined our books together, and but yeah, so yeah, they do look kind of bookish, but no, unfortunately not.
Gotcha. You know what? You mentioned your smaller room now. Because we just moved out as well into this now smaller place, but the place before had a lot of room, and before that, it was also we were in a smaller apartment, and I went down this YouTube rabbit hole of just like people from New York, the way they would like rearrange their rooms because it's famous, for how super expensive it is and the tiny little space that you get. So I'd go down just watching these, and they were kind of addicting, like the way they would move stuff around and like find cool products that would unlock all this space. But then as soon as we moved into the new spot where we had all this room, I was like, screw that. I'm going to, freaking just set this one, just set my controller in its own room because I have the room for it. But now I'm going back to that. It's like, okay, how did they do this stuff? How did we go back to conserving space? But yeah, they're cool videos. And it also seems insane that regular people can live in New York because it's so expensive for what you get. It's like, it's nuts.
Yeah, it's definitely a similar kind of situation here in Brighton where everything is just so expensive. Everyone's crammed into like little buildings and apartment blocks and everything. But yeah, one of the rooms is one of the bedrooms is pretty big. But I said to like my friend before we moved in, I was like, I don't really mind too much about I'm too fussy about the bedroom just because like I said to you before, I just come in here to sleep or go on my computer, so I don't really need too much room. In fact, the less room, the better. It's less room to get from my desk to my bed. So
yeah. It's true. You can just, set up in a closet basically then if you want. You can just, sleep upright.
Yeah, I was actually thinking, I know you can get those beds that like go up onto the wall.
Yeah.
And that would save me. But then I don't know what I'd do with all the extra room. I've got nothing else to like.
You have a dance party? I don't know.
Play some VR or something. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, what you been up to, watching, playing? What you been doing this week?
So the week itself, it was pretty busy. We had the Develop Conference and Awards which is hosted in Brighton. So a lot of sort of games industry people were around, and people from like all the other sumo studios came down to visit the Brighton studio, which is quite nice. But it did mean that I went out for some drinks on Thursday night, which could be related to why I don't feel too well still on this Sunday, and also why I've had a pretty relaxed Halloween weekend. So I've been pretty busy with that. But other than that, I've been playing some more BioShock 2 and Back 4 Blood. Same as last week, but I've also been trying out Resident Evil 4 on the Oculus, which has been fun.
You liking it?
I hope I still don't have like the lines from wearing the headset. Yeah, it's great. It's I mean, you know that how many times I've played that game before, but so I think that kind of makes it even better in some ways because it's just such like a different way to experience something I've experienced before. But yeah, no, I'm loving it. It's really, really impressive. Plays really well, and yeah, just the sort of different things it has to try and sort of like let you customize your experience and everything is really, really good. And yeah, really, really enjoying it.
Are you, as far as the controls go, are you kind of teleporting around? Are you playing around with like the different movement options? I'm not sure what they actually offer you.
Yeah, so I'm not the biggest fan of the whole teleporting thing. I know it helps people who get motion sick, but I don't seem to have that problem yet. But I think, and I've said before, I loved Resident Evil 7, where you still move around with the analog sticks and everything. So, yeah, I've been using the move around with the left stick, and it's got that sort of like fixed right stick sort of camera movement as well. If you don't want to have to like keep actually physically turning around, um, so yeah, that's been working well. I think I haven't tried the teleporting yet, but if I start feeling really sick, then I might have to look into that. But the part I've just done, where you fight the big fish in the water,
Mm.
on the boat, that was that was the closest I've come to feeling a bit ill from it, just because you've got the boat being like dragged in these like different angles, and you're trying to like aim whilst it's being, so that was a bit of a strange sensation, but yeah, no, I've been really enjoying the sort of, they call it locomotion, is that what they like refer to the setting
Sure.
as?
I think so.
Yeah, I think that feels sort of correct to me. I mean, I haven't tried the teleports, that might feel great too, but I think it's nice being able to like have good control over movement, especially if like you need to back up from enemies and reload and everything like that, because that's probably the hardest part so far, is having to like bolt your rifle after every shot, or pump your shotgun, or actually reload your weapons, is can be quite difficult if there's enemies like closing in on you. So being able to have like that control over your movement is handy in those situations.
Yeah, you mentioned, I totally forgot that where you're on the boat fighting the fish. So I can't imagine VR is already nauseating enough, but you add, now we're on a virtual boat moving around. Like that's sounds like a nightmare, but it also could add to how tense that boss battle is. But especially all the footage I've seen is mainly like in the first village when you get in there, and they seem to still throw the same amount of enemies at you. And I imagine it's way more tense having them just like bombard you, in a VR, like first person setting. Is it way more tense now playing it?
Yeah, definitely. It makes you a bit more conscious of some of the things that they do to like make it a bit more uneasy as well. Like I've noticed a lot more so when you go to certain areas that enemies will spawn from where you entered the area. So for example, a good example of it is just after you get to the church. So near sort of the fish fight, you sort of go into a swamp, and like there's these like little docks and things. And as you sort of get further into there and you start fighting enemies, it just starts sending enemies from the entrance area.
Mm.
So, which is horrible in VR, where you can like easily look over your shoulder and you see all these enemies coming, and you're like, right, I need to like try and back myself into a corner here, and sort of try and do that. But yeah, it's definitely interesting to play, and like you said, it does seem like they've only showed areas from the beginning. So I'm really excited to try out, like going to the castle, and all these different places, that because Resident Evil 4 does have so many different locations and different kind of areas and enemies and things that don't come till later in the game. So I'm really curious to see not just how that is, but also how I react to it, because I've already had a few times where I've sort of jumped out my skin, where an enemy sort of surprised me from behind, or I've turned around to see an enemy I thought I'd killed or something. So, but yeah, it's really great. I mean, if you're a fan of Resident Evil 4, and just VR games in general, it's a must play.
Yeah, this one has me just really, debating buying a Oculus 2, because man, I want to play this. And you mentioned, experiencing stuff in a new light, or with some of the stuff coming forward, like in the castle. There's also that boss battle with, is it El Gigante, that huge giant dude? So that in VR has got to be nuts. Although there's that minecart level eventually where you're in the cart, and it's just that part was really hard to remember that. So I wonder how that's going to be physically. You're in the cart too, like in first person. I know in that first village, you have the villagers throwing axes and whatnot at you. You were able to shoot them out of the sky as they throw them. Can you kind of dodge it all? Like, do they take into account like your physical movement, and you can just avoid attacks by physically moving around?
Yeah, you can sort of move out the way of things now, like projectiles and things like that, which is definitely helpful. but yeah, I've sort of noticed that it is maybe because of things like that, it is maybe a little bit easier, and also just the fact that you can actually aim normally without having to worry about the janky like aiming controls of the original. That's quite nice as well. So yeah, there are certain things that the VR adds that maybe makes it a little bit of an easier experience too. But then I'm sure that might be the opposite in certain areas as well. But one thing I wanted to mention as well was I think this is the only thing I've noticed that they've changed about the game is that when you're fighting the fish instead of because I was actually thinking about that part before I got to it about how you'd be like throwing harpoons like over shoulder because I was actually worried I was going to like hit the light or something. But
yeah.
they've actually changed it so you get like a harpoon gun and you can like put the harpoons like in the end of the barrel when you're on the
Makes
boat.
sense.
So I'm not sure how many other things they've changed, like stop people from smashing things in their house. But yeah, I've noticed some little changes here and there.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to hearing the president's daughter whine in my ear in VR. That's part that I'm hoping that will transfer over. But I noticed from watching gameplay again, there's a lot of things that they couldn't replicate in VR, and they just show you it like in almost like a third person kind of view. Like I think when you look into your menu, it's third person, and then when you do some of the action sequences, like when you barrel roll or jump out of a window, it just shows you that animation. How does that feel? Does that kind of take you out of the experience? Or do they do that well?
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit jarring at first, but it's not too bad. I think the main problem is that there's like two different versions of it, where if you're doing something like jumping out of a window or if you kick an enemy, then it will just like take you out of Leon's eyesight and just do it in like third person. Same with the teleport, I believe. When you teleport, it like zooms out and what shows him running. But then there's some things where if you like if you're watching a cutscene or something like that, it will actually show you like a screen, and it does the same when you're. So if you remember in the original, that there's parts where you have to like smash buttons really quickly, like if you're running from the boulder or if you get grabbed, or in the fish part, you have to swim back to the boat. And again, that bit it sort of puts you in this like strange concrete like cylinder room.
Okay.
And you have to like shake the controllers. So there seems to be like two different ways of showing things that it hasn't incorporated properly, which is a little bit strange, but it's nothing game breaking.
Yeah.
And it's understandable because they've already done a huge amount of work to get it playable in this way. And so yeah, it's one of those like understandable things that can be a little bit strange the first time you see it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've seen some of that going in, watching footage, so I would know that, and be prepared for that, like playing the game. And yeah, it seems like it's something they just have to do. There's the way the cutscenes work, they just can't rework that. And from what I've read, they've built this entire game again in Unreal Engine 4, and it seems like they perfectly replicated the environment and everything that's going on. It's pretty nuts. Yeah, I cannot wait to play this game. It also makes me curious if maybe it's on the books to do an RE2 remake in VR, RE3 remake in VR. That could be really, really cool. That's maybe a more updated work they've done on the engine, on the RE engine, that maybe that could transfer over, even easier. But that'd be absolutely nuts. And I can't wait for that as a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would no way be able to play that. Yeah, it'd be awesome if that happened. But yeah, I think Resident Evil 4 is like is the line, because I mean not only because Resident Evil 2 just looks so horrifically like real and like grotesque, but also just that police station, there's just something about it. I wouldn't want to see it so up close and like, be so immersed in it. That would not be nice.
Yeah, that's true. It's like it's right on that line where I think they match the action and what you're doing to where you're not fully scared the entire time, but yeah, it's a whole nother level when you're in VR. That reminds me, I tried to play this scary game and I thought about streaming it. It's called Visage. It's on Xbox and PlayStation. There is a PS5 update coming soon, but it's this it's almost like a love letter to PT. So the beginning is very much like PT, where you're in a room, you're locked in this house, and there's a radio that's talking to you. There's some kind of stuff going on. I think you like murdered your family possibly, so you have to kind of unravel what the mystery is. And I couldn't get very far. Like I was attempting to play it, And I think I spent like 10 minutes in there, and it's like, nope, because you have to stay in the light to keep your sanity, and lights are flickering around you, and you have to like replace light bulbs. You're basically like a handyman for the first part of the game, because you're just replacing light bulbs as you go around the room to stay alive. But I didn't even see a ghost. It was just like that creepy already that I was like, I'm out. I can't do this. But I got it on Game Pass, so it was just, jumped in, played it. And but yeah, I was trying to play a scary game, and I could not do it.
That's the good thing about Game Pass is you can, not only jump into games, but you can also jump out very quickly without any sort of worries.
In this case, yeah, I quickly pieced out of there. But I did play too. It's now across the board. It's a Ubisoft game. It's on all the different consoles, but it's called Riders Republic, and it's this. I don't know if you saw any footage. They've had various like betas throughout the weeks, but it finally came out, and it's pretty cool. It's you're snowboarding, you're skiing, and mountain biking, and once you unlock it, you can flip on the fly between all these. So as you're riding down a hill, you can press a button and just switch to a mountain bike or snowboard, and it's really cool. It's kind of weird as far as like there's that same Ubisoft bugginess to it. The story is kind of over the top, and like everyone's, they somehow have enough money to just live on this mountain and ski board or ski and snowboard forever, and it's just they're over the top caricatures of like extreme sports people, but it's pretty fun. I've been playing that for a little while now. But yeah, as far as games, that's really all I've been playing. I'm excited that you're going through RE4 VR. I'm really, really want to play that.
Yeah, I'm actually shocked that I've got as far as I have as well, because I assumed that I would like jump in, get to like, I don't know, maybe the chainsaw guy, and then just and then just be completely done. But it's just testament to the core game, I guess, that normally if it's a VR game that just in general that like involves any hint of like scariness, then like I'll really struggle to play it. But it's just so much fun, and I'm just so intrigued as to like to sort of keep going and keep seeing what it's like. So I'm sure I'll get further. I'm still not gonna say for sure I'll finish it yet, but just because I know what's coming. But it's great. I definitely recommend if you can, and I know it's exclusive for the Quest 2, but if the opportunity arises, I definitely recommend it.
Have you? Well, we'll end on the VR stuff, but with the Oculus 2, I'm curious. Playing with that, do you notice a difference in how it fits on your face? I know they made some adjustments to like weight displacement. Is it any more comfortable on that versus the regular Oculus?
I'm not sure really. I mean, I did use the Quest 1, but I can't really remember it enough to make like a direct comparison. But I mean, you'd hope that it would be, just because obviously they'd be able to, they would want to iterate onto it. But I mean, I have no complaints over the comfort of it. I think it feels great. I think maybe I could do it like tightening mine a little bit. It might be a little bit too big. But again, that's completely my fault for not going ahead and doing that sooner anyway. But no, it feels great. And, when you play games like, they're even more involved, like, like Thrill of the Fight game and stuff, where you're actually moving your head around a lot. It seems to, fit to your face pretty well. So, I've got no complaints about how it feels at all.
Nice, gotcha. Yep. At some point, I kind of messed up where I spent some money on a new monitor, so I now have like it's a 1440. It's a 1440, 1400. Yeah. One of those numbered P's displays, 2K display, and I'm digging it. And I thought that would maybe bring me out of my depression buying something new. It did not. I just feel the same. But I have that in my computer room now, and it's dope. But I spent pretty much the same I would spend on like a Oculus, and now I'm thinking like, man, maybe I should have got that. Or with these two monitors, if I sit up close to them, maybe I can replicate VR or something. Yeah. But I'll try that. But yeah, at some point that's on the list to get. But Cal, we got some PlayStation news we can jump into. We got this first one here is about PlayStation PC. Sony introduces new PlayStation PC label. This is IGN's Kat Bailey. In a reflection of Sony's recent embrace of PC gaming, the platform holder has introduced the PlayStation PC brand for several of its games on Steam. The new label popped up just recently as a publisher for Days Gone on Steam, and Video Games Chronicle reports that the name was registered back in April. It further solidifies Sony's intentions for PC, suggesting that PlayStation intends to bring plenty more games to Steam in the near future. So this is cool. They have their own little PlayStation PC label. How do you feel about this? I'm wondering if we'll get some kind of PlayStation PC portal eventually that kind of, detracts from Steam. It's their own little thing, say like Epic Games or whatnot. But how do you feel about Sony having this label now, PlayStation PC?
Yeah, I think it shows how serious they're taking it. I think the actual logo itself is that actually it, because it kind of looks like someone just like slapped
Yeah,
PC
I'm
like
not
really
sure.
badly. Yeah,
I Googled it, found it, and put it in the doc, so I don't know if that's the actual logo. It is pretty simple. I'm hoping that they would spice it up more than that, but yeah.
I think that's the same. I think that is the same one like I've seen. So I don't know. I hope it's not the official one, and they're yet to announce it. But yeah. Other than that, yeah, it's it's really starting to become more and more of a thing with these games. So yeah, I think it's to be expected, and yeah, like you said, it'll be interesting to see if they do go down the sort of create like their own game launcher or something like that. But we'd have to wait and see, because their PlayStation Now app on PC leaves a lot to be desired. So maybe it could be like a good way to morph them both into like the same thing.
Yeah, it's true. Eventually, you'd think if they follow the same note as Xbox, they would start to merge it into one platform where you have PlayStation Now, you have PlayStation PC, maybe even call it like PS PC, something like that, cool and snazzy. But trying to merge those as this one-stop shop where you experience PlayStation on your PC. But it seems like they're going that direction. They're moving pretty fast with, as far as what was the first like big entry for PlayStation on PC? I'm trying to now think in the past of, was it Horizon maybe, or Death Stranding, even though that was still like not their first party title. But since then, it's been pretty quickly with, dropping these huge juggernaut titles on PC, or announcing them in the very least. So as far as once they decided to go to PC, it's now like quickly moving that direction.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was now. I think it might have been like Horizon or something like that. But yeah, it definitely looks like, now this has been announced, that we'll probably see like even more and more come to PC, and that's really exciting, I think.
Yeah, I can't wait. And we have some Returnal news, but I feel like Returnal is another just no-brainer to bring there and to have in like unlocked frame rates and graphics. It'd be really cool to see that working on PC hardware. But yeah, and we have some more PC news with PlayStation. We'll move on to this next one here. Transition in. We got God of War PC version is being handled by external developer. This is Matt Purslow of IGN. Sony has confirmed that the upcoming God of War PC port will be handled by Canadian studio Jetpack Interactive. The company previously provided engineer support for Dark Souls PC version. In a statement provided by Ars Technica, Sony said that the original God of War developer Sony Santa Monica is overseeing the PC version's development, which is being handled by Jetpack Interactive. So this one's interesting because, and maybe the deal was made so soon that going forward, a lot of these PC ports can be handled by their own studio, but PlayStation bought Nix's, which is a Dutch studio that specializes in porting games. They bought them back in July, and we haven't really seen any projects announced that they're going there. It seems like all these deals have been made where somebody else is still handling the PC ports, but I'm wondering, when are they going to, they spent all this money, and I'm not sure how much they spent on Nix's, but to port all these games to PC, but when will we see these games, them handle these PC ports? I wonder.
Yeah, it might be that Nix just have a few more things to finalize and finish before proper sink their teeth into anything. But yeah, it's always an exciting thing for a studio to take on such a big project like that. And I know Sony Santa Monica will be overseeing it and everything, but it'll be it's an awesome opportunity for the guys at Jetpack Interactive as well to work on such a cool project.
Right, for sure. And yeah, I wonder eventually, once they get the Nix's side of things up and running, where they handle all the PC ports, if they start to kind of take some of the best talent around the game development and just have them just exclusively do everything, where they just throw them at a project, give them whatever code they need, and they just handle all these PC ports. I wonder how quickly we'll be getting these out, or if they'll still have, say, like a Last of Us or something, to go into PC, if they'll still have those core developers a part of the transition to PC, or if they'll just let Nix's do everything on their own. I'm not sure how that works, but I'm wondering if once they get into full steam, if they're just like popping these PC ports out.
Yeah, I think it would definitely help them going forwards. It's always nice having an internal studio to sort of communicate with, I mean, I'm sure no matter who it is that's handling or whatever project it is that does end up going to PC, I'm sure that the original team or the original studio will have a lot of like direction in it and a lot of say. But just being able to have like an internal studio just, I guess, makes all that all the processes a lot easier to sort of manage than if you were using an external studio or partner.
Right. Gotcha. Yep. So it's happening. We're getting all this PC stuff going on. It's pretty dope. Pretty dope. So we have the next one here is some Returnal news. So we have Returnal update adds save system and photo mode. This is Matt Perslow of IGN. A new version 2.0 update for PlayStation 5 exclusive Returnal has added a system that allows players to temporarily save their progress and shut down their console. This fixes a long-standing player complaint and will allow players to play a run of the roguelike across multiple sessions of play. Revealed on a PlayStation blog, the new system is called Suspend Cycle. This feature allows you to pause your current run, exit the game, and turn off your console. Rebooting the game will then allow you to continue your run. So I have the last little blurb here explains that it's not, you can't use the save indefinitely. Once you trigger the save or go back to your save, it's just, excuse me, deleted, and then you lose that save point until you create a new one, I guess, at some point. But yeah, it's happening. It was we knew that an update was coming up down the line, a pretty beefy update. This seems to be the one. How do you feel about them adding this suspend cycle feature?
Yeah, I think it's obviously something people wanted, and it made sense to have been there from the start, I think. But it's not. I think we've said before that it's not really something that I think will change the game for people like myself who disliked it for other reasons. But yeah, I think it's one of those things that you kind of scratch your head as to why it wasn't in there from the start. So it's nice to see them listen to people and actually take the effort to put it in.
Yeah, and I'm now gonna stop beating the dead horse of I think Returnal's too hard. I'm gonna let that go. And for me, until they add that, something like that, some kind of, difficulty options, I probably won't be going back to Returnal. But I, really loved what they were doing. And I'm glad that the community that wanted that, pretty much that was a complaint from the get-go or something that they wanted, community wanted. So I'm glad they spent the time, put it in there. But for me, it wasn't that was my hurdle of being able to save it. Although it's a huge bummer where it's like, you can't do anything if you're stuck in this run. It's like, you have to complete it. But even then, it's like I guess you could, we could have always suspended our PS5, but having that security of a save point is what people wanted, because you have updates or power outages and whatnot, and you lose all your progress. It's got to be crazy annoying. But for me, I couldn't even get past the first biome, so a save point would do me no good at all. But what a cool game. I'm hoping that they keep tweaking stuff, and maybe some new DLC will bring me back, and I'll still get my butt kicked and jump in there. But I'm glad they're continuing to support the game, and imagine it's a huge success, and what a cool experience too.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's definitely a community there that love it, and I don't think there's anything they could probably add to it that would bring me back, just because I don't really play many games like that anyway. Many roguelikes, and I think the only one that I have enjoyed was Hades, and that's only because it had such a sort of tangible progression system where you could really feel yourself improving and getting better, and I just feel like that's what Returnal doesn't have. And maybe that it's not necessarily like objectively a bad thing, but that's just what I look for in those kinds of games. But yeah, no, it's done really well. It actually won Game of the Year, the Game of the Year award at the Develop Awards last week. So nice. Obviously it's doing something right.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's got, really great reviews and reception. So it's just for, I imagine maybe there's 5 people like me that thought it was too hard, but everyone else across the board loved the experience. And I'm glad people are happy, and I'm glad for Housemarque. I think they needed a good success, after it's been a while. And so I'm happy for them. And yep, that update finally came out, so people can experience that. Got the next one here. I forgot to mention there's a photo mode in Returnal, which that was one thing that should have been there from the get-go, because that's such a beautiful game. And so the photo mode is in there. So if anything, I could do that, but that's about all I could actually play in the game. But photo mode is there. We did get a state of play. So we got a roundup here from Push Square. This was from the state of play from last week. So what was announced during Sony's latest state of play live stream? Before we jump in, there was I saw some complaints online, people that were, not very impressed. And I get it, but from the news that they did put out saying it's third party, they're going to focus on, it's 20 minutes long. I didn't expect anything crazy announced, so it wasn't like, my expectations were pretty low anyways. I thought it was just going to be cool updates on stuff, and that seems like what we ended up getting. This first one here is still no release date on great looking Little Devil Inside for PS5, and they showed off a trailer, which I have the link going, the video going as well. But how do you feel about this game? This one is maybe not yet on my radar. It does look really cool though, but yes, Little Devil Inside. And this is a sequel, I want to say, to is it Little Nightmares? I think this is another addition to a franchise already, or a previous title. But how do you feel about Little Devil Inside?
Yeah, I haven't actually seen much on it at all. I know that there was a trailer for it at the State of Play, but I haven't really looked at it. But yeah, I know I've seen lots of people think it, or saying it looks great. And I like games like this, that are kind of a bit arty and a bit trying to do something a little bit different. So yeah, it looks really cool.
Yeah, same here. I might wait to see the reception on it, the reviews, but it does look pretty cool. I love the art style. It's just not yet on my radar, but looks like that is at some point coming down the line. But they did show off that trailer as well. We got the next one here is highly rated action adventure Death's Door. Arrives on PS5, PS4 in November, and they showed off a new little trailer for that. Did you get a chance to play Death's Door? It was on Game Pass, and I did spend some time playing it there. But have you played this game at all?
I haven't, no. It looks really cool though. I've just put the trailer on now. It reminds me a little bit of what was it called? I can't remember what it's called. I think it was like a free PlayStation Plus game at one point, but it looks really, really cool as well. It looks like it'll probably kick my ass if I was to play it, but yeah, it looks like a lot of fun.
So you know me, I'm not great at these like soul style games. This one is kind of like that, but it's way more approachable. I found where it was I was able to proceed. The timing and the action with your movement and whatnot that you have to understand is approachable. I felt like I could actually traverse through the world, and it was still challenging and rewarding for when you finally beat these bosses, and it was really cool. I did not finish it, as I don't finish a lot of games, but it's still on my Game Pass account, and maybe I'll jump in on PS5 to see if it looks any better. I imagine it will be. But yeah, it's a cool game. I do recommend this. I did finish it, but the boss battle is really fun. The gameplay is really cool. But yeah, it was actually a really fun experience.
Yeah, nice.
But nice. That is coming to PS5 and PS4. We got the new, I know you're a big Bug Snacks fan, so we got Bug Snacks Get Bigger and Free Isle of Big Snacks update next year. So they showed this off. Have you, I don't know if you got to play, it was a free PlayStation Plus game. I want to say the first month of the PS5 launch. I forget if you dabbled in this. I played for a little bit and ended up not being for me. But how do you feel about the original one and maybe this DLC update?
Yeah, I actually really, really liked it. I didn't play too much of it, but I probably played like maybe 2 or 3 hours or so. But yeah, I did. I thought it was just really, really funny. Like, when you just play or you watch something and you just know that it's got like a really good sense of humor to it. It constantly made me laugh. The dialogue, the little, shouts that the little snacks would make. It was like genuinely funny. So I did enjoy that. And I thought it was just it's just so bizarre that it was kind of really, really enticing in a way. So don't know whether I'll go back to it, but this looks like fun. And I never expected them to release any DLC for it, or whether this is just like an actual sequel.
I want to say DLC because it's like a new area.
Okay, yeah, but I mean, yeah, it looks like just the same kind of stupid fun.
Yeah, the writing is really cool and funny, and that's what did a lot for me as far as keeping me engaged. It reminds me a lot of, it's kind of a combination of a few different genres or games where I think Viva Pinata, which is older school, 360 game where you manage these weird animals, but it's also like Pokemon Snap where you're combining them or trying to get them to change into other forms and taking pictures by messing with the environment. But then on top of that, you have this fun writing that is just weird. And aside from the animals being weird and weird amalgamations of, food items. But yeah, it's a pretty cool, unique experience. And I'm glad people are digging it and enough for them to support it with DLC. But yeah, we'll see when that releases, but it is cool. They did announce
and
that.
It does kind of make me want to jump into it, just looking at that trailer and like being reminded of the the like characters and things, but I just don't know whether I'll be able to get around to it because there's so many other games.
That's the thing. Yeah. And sometimes, yeah, these little DLC updates can be beneficial where they just remind you, hey, this is there. And even if these aren't like a crazy, larger experience, I guess that's a negative for the people that have completed it and really dig it. But for new people or people that just kind of fell off, that's just a good way to just remind you, hey, this is there, more fun, and jump in. And so, yeah, I might be on there. I might not, because same boat. There's a ton of games that already haven't finished. And so this would be another one added to that. But yeah. We got the next one here is Deathverse, is a PS5, PS4 multiplayer game inspired by Let It Die. So I have the trailer here. I have no idea what's going on in this trailer. It's very weird, but they did show this off during the state of play. It's just, very, I'm assuming Japanese, just with the way that everything is portrayed, especially the way they portray like English and Americans almost in this. It seems very Japanese and wacky, but how do you feel about this trailer?
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea what it even is, or like how to feel about it. Not for me, I don't think, but yeah, it just looks. I just don't even know what to even say about it because I don't know what it is, what you do in it, what anything means. But good on them.
Exactly. Yeah, it's strange. I'll watch some gameplay, I'm sure, but I don't know if I'll be jumping into that one. But so we have that. We have a Kart Rider Drift is a free to play kart racer for PS4. So I have the trailer here as well. I initially thought I thought the main guy was Mega Man. I thought this may be like a Mega Man, universe kart rider, but apparently not. This is just its own standalone kart rider. But how do you feel about this gameplay?
It's the first time I've seen it. Actually, I think kart races are just like are just always fun, aren't they? Really, even if you like end up playing like one or two races, you'll at least have fun for one of those races. But yeah, I think it's nice to see more of them. And we had like Mod Nation races back on PS3, I want to say, which was really good fun. I enjoyed that when that came out. So I think there's maybe a little hole to fill there for like a PlayStation exclusive kart racer. I know we had Crash Team Racing and everything, but something just new and fresh, and they can sort of kind of incorporate like more modern day kind of things, especially with multiplayer and sort of social, customization kind of things, which it looks like this game's doing. So yeah, it looks like fun.
Yeah, especially going free to play, I think that's a great idea to get new people in there. You need an install base to actually have this game, have the servers filled online. So it's a great way to get people in there. And yeah, this could be a cool PlayStation property if they play the cards right, where right now it's, the biggest competitor would be like a Mario Kart, and PlayStation doesn't really have that in the past couple of years, haven't really had anything like that. So this could be a cool competitor. And yeah, it looks, fun. At the very least, it looks fun.
Yeah, I think the only sort of downside is I just don't really like the name. I just don't. I don't know what it is about it. It just kind of like, for some reason, it just looks like it sets it up to fail for some reason for me. But that might just be me being a weirdo.
It does sound very generic. So like just Kart Rider Drift sounds, like you'd find it like it's an off-brand of something else. But yeah, it's very generic. All right, we got the next one here is we got a cool trailer on Five Nights at Freddy's. So Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. I have the wrong one. There we go. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach dated for December. So this is looks like the first, first person as far as like movement based Five Nights at Freddy's entry. It's on PS5. How do you feel about this? Are you excited for Five Nights at Freddy's?
Not really. I don't really like Five Nights at Freddy's anyway. Well, not that I don't like it. I've just never really been into it or anything. And it has that kind of unfortunate fan base, which, other things suffer from, things like Rick and Morty and stuff that is actually normally good, but just its fan base kind of makes it like insufferable. But I was kind of excited to see like a actual first person horror game in this universe, but I actually think it looks really quite not very good. I was quite disappointed by it. I think this is the only trailer I actually watched out of them all, just because it was the only one that I had sort of heard of and was already kind of curious to see what kind of direction they were going to take it down. But it just doesn't look quite right to me. It just doesn't look very scary. It looks kind of silly, and it just doesn't look. There's nothing there that interests me personally. But again, I mean, it has an absolutely massive fan base. So I'm sure that there's lots of Five Nights at Freddy's lore masters who will be
Yeah.
really excited for this one.
Yeah, my nephews will be absolutely stoked to play this. Yeah, it's this one I've never really cared for the other ones because I think it's the way you play the game where you're kind of stuck in a location. You can somewhat swap between areas and you're managing these cameras. I like the idea of them going to what it looks like where you can move around this area in first person. That seems more interesting to me. And then kind of leans more into like, I guess, other horror titles that we're used to. But this one, I'm still curious. I want to see what the reception is, but I am very curious because it is a scary game. If you played some of them, they rely on jump scares. That's their whole thing. So maybe that with the moving around could be cool. But yeah, I want to see what the actual reviews and receptions are because this one is kind of on my radar. But yeah, otherwise, I only kind of live through this property by my nephews, and they've now kind of outgrown the whole thing. And they never played them either. They'd watch YouTube videos about it and then tell me about the story, but it was always too scary for them to play. And I'm interested, but I think most likely, yeah, it's just going to be the same kind of Five Nights at Freddy's experience. So we'll see, but they're able to land this on PS5. Cool. But I have no big hopes for it really, but yeah, they did show that off. We got the last one here, King of Fighters XV. I'm trying to think of my Roman numerals. Is that 9? I want to say, nope, that is 15.
15. Yeah. 15.
Yes. I'm smart. So the beta kicks off in November. We got a little trailer here. Yeah. Are you much of a fighting game fan? How do you feel about this beta, this gameplay trailer?
I wish I was. I'm just really bad at them. I really like the idea of being good at fighting games, and I love like just the general premise of like with these characters and their own like moves, and they're always like, I think fighting game characters always have like the most amount of like attention put into them compared to like other genre of games. Like even if it is like like this game, like your typical Japanesey like kind of fun kind of characters. I always think they all just feel so like unique. But yeah, unfortunately, I probably won't play it because I get my head kicked in by like even like easy AI normally. So I'll probably leave it.
Yeah, I'm the same. Where I wish I was good at these games because they are really cool. Like if you look at some of the recent Mortal Kombats or even like Killer Instinct on Xbox, that reboot, they look gorgeous and they look really fun to play. But I'm just terrible at them. And the community, gets so good where it's like you can't really jump in there and have fun. And if you don't already understand the gameplay itself and aren't fast on the button presses, but I can button mash my way through it. That's cool. But it is, an experience or a genre that I respect, and I just kind of watch from the wayside. But yeah, we did get that beta trailer, so that's coming off in November on PS5, I believe. That pretty much rounds out the. Oh, sorry, Callum, go for it.
I was going to say, I think the thing with fighting games is as well is like you were saying, like normally if a new game comes out, you can get into it early and try and like learn it at the same time as everybody else, but I think fighting games are, in general, like a similar enough premise for like people who are good at fighting games to be maybe good at them all in some way. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I kind of get that feeling. So, it's always like a similar, parry, strike. You have like certain special abilities or whatever. But I think like the premise is always similar in how you learn to be good at them. Whereas like we were saying about Back 4 Blood last week, if you play like Left 4 Dead and you jump in and everyone's really good, they know all the maps, they know all the levels, they know all the different routes and all the different ways to go. But then playing Back 4 Blood, which is obviously a much newer game, you feel a lot more at ease when you're playing multiplayer with people because everyone's in the same boat. Nobody knows the levels, the ways to go through them, the different enemies, the different things that are like waiting for you around corners. So yeah, I think that's what kind of puts me on fighting games, because normally if I want to get into a certain genre, then I'd be happy to jump into a new game to try and get good at it at the same time as everybody else. But I just feel like with fighting games, I can't even do that.
Yeah, same. And I wonder if it's just how our brains are wired, where it's just something that we can't jump onto or have the same commitment to master it and learn it. I think if a lot of these games they'd have to be something else that would actually appeal to me. If it was maybe open world or like you traverse through the story with the same gameplay mechanics, that could be really cool. if it was something third person. But it's just the standard way of, having the squaring off against someone on the other side of the screen. It's just never appealed to me, but it always looks so cool. And it's just one of those things where I'm just not good at it and I got to understand it. And I find myself buying these games every once in a while, like the latest Mortal Kombat. I bought that when it came out, thinking I was going to, let's give this a shot, and played maybe like 3 hours of it. And I just wasn't for me. But yeah, it's cool. Respect it. But yeah, we got that. That really rounds out the state of play for last week. So we got the next one here. News article is about Resident Evil. Resident Evil Village set to receive free DLC. This is Jared Moore of IGN. Capcom has said that Resident Evil Village is set to receive free DLC sometime in the future. News of the free DLC was published in the company's recent annual integrated report as part of the lengthy document, which looks back on the studio's year as a whole and also outlines its plans for the future. Currently, it's unclear what this free DLC will be. During its E3 panel earlier this year, Capcom confirmed that due to popular demand, the studio is working on additional DLC for the game. However, since then, little more has been said on the topic. So we have this last bit here. Resident Evil Village previously released Trauma Pack DLC, which launched packaged with the collector's, deluxe, and complete versions of the game, was mostly made up of cosmetic content. While Capcom hasn't stipulated whether or not any further DLC would be story-driven or cosmetic-based, it may be that fans receive something similar to the Trauma Pack as part of its free DLC in a future update. So yeah, Cam, I'll flip it over to you. Do you think we see some actual, story-driven campaign or any kind of like DLC? I know with Resident Evil 7, they did offer some actual, experiences you could play. I know at some point you play as, forget the name of the main dude who's like that assassin guy, where he's punching boulders, that guy. And then there's some other story-driven stuff. But do you think they support it the same way they did with RE7?
Yeah, I think Resident Evil 7 is probably the only Resident Evil game that I've only finished once, so I don't know too much about it. And I didn't play the DLCs for that either. So immediately I'd sort of be like, oh no, I can't see there being any story DLCs. But I think because of 7, we probably will see some. And I think that's quite exciting just because of how good RE8 was. But it'd be interesting to see what they are, because obviously I don't want to. You finished RE8, haven't you? Because I don't want to spoil it. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to know who you'd sort of play as, unless they, go down the Chris route, and they obviously have that part where you play as Chris in Village, which I thought was great as well. So it'd be cool to have maybe like an even lengthier kind of thing like that. But yeah, it's. I think it's more exciting for me personally that we're going to possibly see more story DLC like we did with 7, because I think Village is like a far better game. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure we'll probably see the trauma, the trauma pack or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll see that things like that being added in as well, and I'm hoping for like some shortcuts to the infinite weapons so that I can go through and get that platinum trophy. So I'm not really too keen on playing through it again on like hard difficulty without that, just because of how scary I found it.
Yeah. I want to say it was a RE2 remake, maybe even RE3 remake. Eventually they put out either it was, I want to say it was paid DLC at first and then it was free, where you had the path to these to unlock some of the super weapons. And maybe this is something like that, especially if it's free DLC that they're saying is coming down the line, then that's most likely a cosmetic or something, and paid DLC would be a campaign edition. But yeah, if they can unlock a route to these bigger weapons, so you have the incentive to go back and play these games on harder difficulty to then get the platinum, that'd be dope. But any way they support this game or give me a reason to jump back in, I'll take it, because I had a blast. And I was even trying to get some of the trophies by like speed running and using the knife, and it is still doable, but it'd be cool to have, another way to jump in and play these.
Yeah, I think I found them. I think they're all generally doable, especially because you do, and you have like New Game Plus essentially, and all these different things that you can unlock afterwards. But yeah, I just find it so scary. I just find Village in particular so scary. I find like werewolves in particular scary, and obviously all the dollhouse part, which I think every single person in the world found horrifying. So it's just me being a wimp mostly. But when I have like an infinite rocket launcher or something, surprisingly the game becomes a lot less scary.
Right. Yep. Same. All right, Cal, we got the next one here. Some news on Amy Hennig. Studio led by Amy Hennig making a Marvel game. So this is Liam Croft at pushsquare.com. Skydance New Media, the developer containing talent such as Uncharted creator Amy Hennig, has today announced it's developing an original Marvel game. The title will be a narrative-driven blockbuster action-adventure game featuring a completely original story and take on the Marvel Universe. As a whole, Skydance New Media says it's attempting to make high-fidelity, richly interactive experiences crafted for traditional gaming platforms as well as emerging streaming services. Which Marvel character or team the game will be based on hasn't been disclosed, but with the likes of Spider-Man, Wolverine, the Avengers, and Guardians of the Galaxy already covered, we have to assume it'll be a comic book face that's yet to receive an original title. The project also appears to be quite early in development, so likely be competing for attention with Marvel's Wolverine rather than Spider-Man 2, even though it could be still further out. So this was announced last week. How do you feel about Amy Hennig, who's from Uncharted, just a top tier writer and person in that games industry? How do you feel about them tackling a Marvel property?
Yeah, I think it's always nice to hear someone like Amy Hennig's working on something, especially with the amount of games that she's been working on and then been taken off, or the game's fallen through or whatever. So yeah, fingers crossed we'll get to see more of this soon. I think just because I'm just in general like burnt out from Marvel in the film space mostly. I'm just worried that we're now going to get like a huge saturation of Marvel games, which seems to already be happening. But I'm sure this one in particular will stand out. Considering who's writing it.
Yeah, I wonder if, considering Amy Hennig's pedigree with writing, it seems like with a main character as the focus, I wonder if she'll tackle. We're both just like coughing up and
sorry,
having issues.
Passed you it on through
Yeah. That's how it works. That's how the internet works. But with her pedigree of writing for single player and maybe not team based stuff, I wonder if they'll have like a Fantastic Four, if that's the property they'll tackle, where that one's more of a team. So maybe she's going to handle a single superhero. But either way, her writing's so dope and everything she touches turns to gold. So I can't wait. I haven't hit that same saturation point you're feeling with some of these Marvel titles, especially with Guardians of the Galaxy. I haven't played it, but I was more negative on how it looked. Seeing the reception, my buddy Gavin's playing it and having a blast. So I do want to jump into that one. I feel like you can nail it, and it has been nailed with, say, like Insomniac tackling it. So I'm ready to see what they do. But I think I'm still a fan and excited to see more stuff in that Marvel universe.
Yeah, and on that note, I think Guardians of the Galaxy looks great. I remember when it was first sort of shown off, I thought it looked really good then, because it kind of gave me like Mass Effect vibes with how you go to these different planets and you've got this like squad characters that you can make different choices with that affect your relationships with them and things, which is one thing that I loved about Mass Effect, and it really just gave me that kind of vibe. And I think Guardians of the Galaxy can sort of be separated from Marvel just because it is very outer worldly and very fun and just strange and crazy, just because it has no rules, I guess, because it's just so far out into space that you can just have like the weirdest and like most wonderful worlds and characters and things. So yeah, I think Guardians of the Galaxy looks great, and I think I'll probably end up getting it at some point. But yeah, I think it's more just, I'm just worried because I think even like with the movies in particular, I really enjoyed like the Marvel films up to a certain point, and then it just got to a point where it's like, even if it looked great or even if everyone was saying how amazing it was, I just couldn't bear to like even put myself into that kind of like that kind of universe, just because it just really it just got to the point where like it just seemed like the same thing over and over, like at its core. So I just hope it doesn't get like that, like a similar thing to like having a million World War II games or a million, games of a certain way. I just hope that it's not going to become like there's lots of money to make by slapping a bunch of Marvel characters into their own games. But, at the end of the day, we're going to have like games for everybody. So maybe I'm just worrying about the thing.
I think you're onto something where just making sure, because they are going to continue down the Marvel franchise with porting those or making game experiences based on those movies or the actual comic book versions of them. I think you try and pick the more unique ones, say like with Guardians, you're right, where they exist in space and they can get really weird and wacky. The next one should be something that's fully just hasn't been seen before to stand out and to kind of separate. So it's not that overlap of we've seen Captain America a million times and Iron Man a million times. So some kind of Marvel property that hasn't been done in the movies at all that could be, its own thing and could be a unique experience. And there's tons of characters. So yeah, they could really go get weird with it and find something that just hasn't had a lot of shine on it lately. I don't think they'll go this route, but I'm a huge fan of Blade. I feel like that could be a really dope game. The movies, at least the first one, the first two, are so cool and it's such a cool character. So yeah, there's plenty of Marvel stuff they could focus on. But they have to, and maybe they don't care because they make so much money that if they put out another, Avengers, it's going to sell. People are going to dig it. So yeah, but for me personally, I share the same boat where it's like if they lean on something that hasn't had enough attention on it, that could be really unique, especially with this writing pedigree on it. I'm assuming third person kind of action style could be good. It could be really good and really dope, but it's super early on, so we'll see what happens. But that was cool news that she's working on that.
Yeah. I guess my main point is more about maybe not so much about Marvel as like a whole thing, because I actually forgot Blade was a Marvel character, and you said about Fantastic Four as well, who I'd actually forgotten about just because they haven't had as much treatment as all these other characters. So yeah, I guess it's more just the characters we've already seen too much of, maybe. Yeah. So say for example it was like an Iron Man game or a Captain America game, then that's where I'd just be a bit like, come on, like there's just we've seen so much of this like in like the general entertainment like space. So yeah, I guess it's more just I hope they don't go down the biggest money making route, which would be like your Captain America or your Iron Man or something like that, and that they go for something a bit more niche and a bit more new, because the last thing we want is to like retread ground, especially for characters, because with someone like Amy Hennig leading, you'd imagine that these characters are going to be really well written, and you're going to want to really learn about them. But what's to learn about characters like Captain America or Iron Man or I mean even like Wolverine, that we don't already know. So yeah, I'm just hoping that they're kind of a bit more like creatively ambitious rather than just going for where the money is.
Yeah, no, I agree. We'll see more news, I'm sure, in the next coming years with that. Still early on, but we got the next article here as looks like Guerrilla is recruiting external studios to make New Horizon games. This is Jordan Gerblick of GamesRadar.com. Horizon Forbidden West developer Guerrilla Games seems to be recruiting external studios to develop new games in the franchise. In a Guerrilla Games job posting for co-dev producer, the studio seeks applicants to join a specialized team overseeing externally produced game projects. And while it isn't unusual for studios to outsource asset development, the job listing seems to clearly indicate that other studios will be making entire games, not just assets for games, based in the Horizon universe. As a co-dev producer at Guerrilla, there's a quote, you will help us expand the Horizon universe in new and exciting directions. In this role, you'll be part of the specialized group overseeing externally produced game projects. A blurb from the job listing reads. Callum, how do you feel about this with Guerrilla letting other devs, work in this universe, in the Horizon universe? And do you think maybe there's a through line from this to like other Guerrilla properties like Killzone? Is this maybe something that's possible, or is it just going to be stuck to Horizon here?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it could be a whole host of things. We've got PlayStation VR 2 coming eventually, so it could be, like even something as small as like a walk through the world of Horizon in VR, or a mobile game, or something like that. But I'd love to see more Killzone properties, whether even if it is something small time that requires doesn't require Guerrilla's attention, but yeah, it's exciting to know that they're expanding the Horizon universe, and maybe potentially other universes of other games by getting more people on board.
Yeah, I wonder if this shows that they're really confident with what they build with Horizon and trying to build that as its own, universe, and having these other games that explore different stories and whatnot. So it seems like they're really doubling down on this being a success, which I think it is on PS4 already with the original. Yeah, I'm hoping maybe they do this. It kind of gives them more time to work internally on their own stuff, and maybe we hopefully see, a Killzone brought back to life, or whatever they do next is, I'm excited for that because they've proven that whichever direction they go, it's going to have that AAA, pedigree that they're known for. But this, I'm just selfish in wanting them to go back to that Killzone franchise, and maybe this opens them up to do that. But yeah, it's cool news. It's just interesting to open that up and have other devs work on their love property. Alrighty, Callum. That is it for the news this week. We can end it there. Do you have any plans for the rest of the week as far as what you're playing? I don't think anything crazy is popping up, but I know this holiday season this year, it's like all the games are dropping now, but I'm trying to think of what comes out next week or what's on your horizon anyways.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what's coming out. I was actually completely surprised by Guardians of the Galaxy releasing. I knew that it was coming, and yeah, but I was really excited for it when I first saw it. The first sort of trailer they announced. So I'm sure that came out really, really quickly. I think that's why it took me by surprise so much. Because I'm fairly sure like the announcement trailer was only a few months ago, unless life's just going extremely fast. But yeah, I think I want to finish BioShock 2. I made some good progression on it today, but thanks to the completely broken remaster collection, I lost like 2 hours worth of progress because the game doesn't autosave and then it crashed. So that was good fun, and it's not the first time I've lost progress on this exact game for a completely different reason as well. So having a little bit of frustration with this collection, but the game itself is I absolutely love it, and it's just getting better and better. And yeah, so hoping to finish that off. Probably go for the platinum just because the platinums on BioShock aren't too difficult. But yeah, and then hopefully after I finish that, I've been playing some Back 4 Blood as well, sort of in the evenings, with a friend. But I was very close to buying Ratchet and Clank today, but it's just I just know it's going to go on sale soon. So I don't want to splash out £70 and then see it's like 40 like tomorrow or something stupid like that.
Yeah, gotcha. Now you're talking about Ratchet and Clank, the last one that released?
Yeah, the newest one. Yeah.
Gotcha. I thought you already owned that. No.
No, it's really strange. I was like super excited for it, and it was going to be like a day one buy and everything. But because it came out when I didn't have internet, it just kind of put me off getting it.
Gotcha.
Just because I'm on my PlayStation around then, and now it's sort of when I go to buy it, I'm like, well, it'll probably go on sale. I'd imagine around now because it's been out for a few months, and I can just imagine it going on sale. So. Maybe that's me being a bit hopeful, but yeah, I'm just worried now that if I buy it for £70, it will go on sale like straight after. So I'm just gonna bite the bullet and wait. I've got enough games to play anyway. So yeah, so hopefully by the time I finish BioShock 2, it will be on sale, and then I'll grab that. If not, I might just go on to BioShock Infinite and play through that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Where I feel a sale coming, at least after November holiday season. Yeah, for sure. I think that's one that's due for a sale. I think even Deathloop got dropped to like $20 off recently, and that came out not that long ago. So I could see Ratchet also getting a discount. And yeah, with just going back to BioShock, that the second one, which I think you're playing now, I never spent enough time in there. And I always mean to go back to it because I remember when it came out, another studio was handling the sequel, and I thought, I wasn't, for some reason, it just wasn't clicking for me. But I've only heard good things about it, especially there's that Minerva's Den DLC that team that worked on it ended up starting their own studio called Fulbright, which made Gone Home. Like that DLC is really, really loved. I don't know if the collection comes with that as well, and I own the collection too, but yeah, I keep meaning to go back to BioShock 2. It seems like a really cool experience. And then Infinite, I loved and played a ton of.
Yeah, it's. I think it's very, very common. The way you thought. I was the same. My friend was the same. Who's a big BioShock fan. And I think it's just like a general like consensus online that people just didn't take to it for before they'd even played much of it, because it was just not. It wasn't Ken Levine. It wasn't the same writers, it wasn't the same studio. But I've got to say, there's nothing it does worse than the first game. In fact, it does something better, I think. I think the first game will always be better just because it came out first and it was the first time you got to experience Rapture. Similar with like Uncharted 2 and 3. I think like it's one of those things where if 3 came first, or if Bioshock 2 came first, then maybe it would be the other way around. But yeah, it's really, really great. I really, really love it. And aside from the bugs that seem to have come with this remastered collection, it's I'm really, really, really enjoying it. So I definitely recommend, if you like the first one and you never finished the second one, definitely give it a try, because it's basically just more Bioshock 1. Obviously it has some differences with you playing as a big daddy and everything, but like essentially it feels very similar, exactly the same kind of vibe. Really, really great writing and interesting characters and things to find. So yeah, definitely I'd recommend that as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's on my never-ending list of games to get back to, and that's on there. But yeah, cool. We'll end it there for the weekend. Where can they find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Bear Monroe. I actually uncharacteristically posted an extremely political tweet today about Bioshock 2, saying about people who harvest little sisters just don't even like talk to me. It's just such like a stupid choice. Like, just no good thing about it, and it's just, I think that's just like such a massive red flag for like just a human being if they do that.
Yeah, because you have to hold them up like they're up in your face and pleading for their life. It's like, yeah, you have to. It's not fun to go that route. Although, are the trophies locked to that?
No, so I actually think the trophies are. I don't think you get a trophy for harvesting them all or harvesting one in particular. I mean, I might be wrong for the second one, but for the first one, certainly the only trophy tied to them is saving them all, or saving or harvesting like one of them. But you can still get the trophy by saving them. So there's just no benefits. I mean, you get like more Adam like straight away, but then you miss out on like loads more Adam later on. So it's just some people are just absolute idiots.
Yeah. There's serial killers out there.
Yeah.
All right, Callum, we'll end it there for the week, and keep up the show as well on Twitter at PlastiCartPod. That is it for us. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
I've already summoned meteor.